Hello, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Welcome to another episode of CEO Talks, podcast created by Rick Hughes of Peace Entertainment Media, located here in Prism County, Northern Virginia. As you guys may already know, my name is Alicio Castaneda. I'm the branch manager with Burke and Herbert Bank here in Manassas, Virginia, community's favorite banker. I know you guys know that one. Today I have the privilege of being with the entrepreneur, visionary, big sis, Mrs. Liletta Harlem. Liletta, thank you so much for coming out and spending quality time with us on this new episode of CEO Talks.
Wow, thank you so much. I am so excited and honored to be here. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. The honor is all mine. So Mrs. Liletta Harlem, big sis, please let us know everything that's been going on, where your entrepreneurship, where your visionary has landed you. How'd you get started?
Wow. So let's see, how much time do we have, right?
Oh, we got all day. Rick gives us all day.
Well, I love it. And so, yes, I am Big Sis. And,
Big sis.
The journey for me really starts up 20 years ago, to be quite honest.
20 years ago. All right.
Yeah. In the sense that, I've always been someone that kind of was for the underdog. Just growing up, I was always that person. And, life happens and I went through some challenges and I found myself really dealing with depression and other things like that. I had gone through a failed marriage and just life had happened. Yeah. And the journey of really kind of self-reflecting and going through therapy and pulling myself out of that place really took me to, well, how can I use this to actually help other women and girls? And what I've learned is that everything I do is based on kind of three major areas, and that's access, opportunity, and perception.
Access, opportunity, perception.
Exactly. Right. And I really, truly believe that for all of us, those three areas really can change the entire trajectory of someone's life. If you're lacking access, if you don't have opportunities, and really how you see yourself, right? Yeah. And how others see you. So that's how I really got my journey started. And when I first kind of launched into the community, I was Big Sis. And I did coaching and really started in the domestic violence arena. And working with Prince William County and getting trained through ACTS Turning Point. Shout out to ACTS.
Shout out to ACTS.
But I really got my start in the community, and from there was able to truly build an empire of empowering women and girls.
I love that. All right, so Liletta, have you always been here in the Northern Virginia area your entire life? Or?
Yeah, for the most part. So, and I love, again, that's why I always say, like, how much time do you have? Because I love sharing. Many people, if you're from the area, you know about Georgetown, South Manassas, and that's where I grew up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and so right from Virginia, I'm a Virginia girl and grew up in Georgetown South. And from there, we moved to Manassas Park, which we were part of a low-income programming. And, all of these different moves really, like I said, shaped who I am. But, I've been in the community. I'm a VA girl.
VA girl. I love that. I love that. All right, so I know, Liletta, we were talking about the big sis and then the empowerment of women and children as well. What does big sis entail for you?
Yeah, so when I first started, as I mentioned, I was really all about domestic violence. And I wanted to be a resource for women who were leaving abusive relationships to be able to figure out, what do I do now? Not just from resources, but even just to build themselves up. And I thought, what role really does that? And Big Sis just flowed naturally because I am a big sister. I have a little sister.
Oh, do you? Nice. Yeah. So naturally.
It's very natural.
In the DNA.
Exactly. And it just flowed so natural. So Big Sis really encompasses being that person that you can look to, someone who sets that example, who is not going to mother you, but certainly can provide that comfort and that warmth and direction. And so that, as I mentioned, has kind of gone through everything I've done, from my nonprofit work to the coaching to the speaking, author. It really is just that Big Sis feel of, this is someone that we trust that is going to lead us down the right direction.
And keep going forward.
Exactly.
So with you growing up in the community of Georgetown South and Manassas, where is your focus point now as Big Sis? Is it spread across the county, Prince William County, or is it specific areas?
So I would say my focus is truly the Prince William County area,
Entire county. Okay.
Manassas. Just again, that's where my focus is. Although my nonprofit, My Natural Me, which I know we'll talk a little more about,
Yes, ma'am.
that really is a Virginia based nonprofit. So I can really
Okay.
touch people in all parts of Virginia. But truly my focus, and especially this year of 2025, I've been able to really form connections and do a lot right here in the community, even in Georgetown South, which still blows my mind that I get to now speak in the community center in
That's right.
Georgetown South, right around the corner of where I grew up. Like that still just blows my mind.
Kind of like the saying, life comes full circle.
Full
Yes,
circle,
ma'am.
exactly.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. And so, talking about the Big Sis aspect, how has things? You said you've been doing this about 20 years now. How has things have changed since 20 years ago to right now? So early 2000s to right now, middle of the 2020s.
I know.
What has been the big steps forward, or things that just unfortunately keeps repeating itself?
Ooh, unfortunately, a lot of things continue to repeat themselves.
Do they? Okay.
I think that was kind of going back to the domestic violence piece, because that was like my first footprint in this work. And I had shifted, and I really wasn't focused on domestic violence probably for like the last maybe 10 years. I was really
Okay.
shifted to how do I empower women. When I was doing that work, I just kept coming across the same challenge, and that was this belief system. And that's how women, any victim, but especially for women, that's how they were getting in this situation. They didn't have this strong belief system, so this abuser was able to take advantage of that. So
Oh, my.
I said, I want to switch. How can I help these women before they get there? Let's build them up. So I shifted. And I shared, I was super excited because over the summer I got invited to speak in California at a domestic violence summit.
Oh my goodness!
I
This past
know,
summer.
yes.
Oh,
And so I was really
amazing.
excited, and I was like, oh, I haven't like formally talked about domestic violence in some years. But again, that's my background. That was my introduction to this work. So I'm preparing, and I go to this summit where these are people who help victims from all different, from law enforcement to the community level and everything in between. And I'm in the room, and I'm hearing the same numbers and the same statistics from when I was doing this work 15 plus years ago.
Oh, my.
It's still the same. And I'm like, how have we not advanced past this?
As a society, exactly.
Exactly. And then I think for me, one of the biggest turning points was someone in the room. I was making the statement how, when we're supporting victims, that we never want to say that, why didn't you just leave? Or why don't you just leave?
Okay.
And I thought this was like standard, right?
Yeah.
And someone there says, well, I say that to the victims all the time because I think they're choosing to stay. And I was just like,
wow.
what? Like, wait a minute, time out.
Someone in 2025 is telling that to their own
Yes,
people they're helping
exactly,
out. Oh, my.
exactly. So when I came back home, I talked to the board of my nonprofit, and I talked to different people that I do work with, and I felt like the person on the bench who was telling the coach, "Tap me back in, let me go back in,
Give me back in."
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I said, I really need to. And again, not that like I'm the end all be all on this subject, but I really want to be more hands-on, because if this is where we still are as a community, this goes hand in hand with how, women and girls are being treated. Like I mentioned, the access, the opportunity, and the perception, right? If the perception is women, have this choice of being a victim and all of that, then there's a problem.
There's definitely a problem right there.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it took the long way, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of challenges there from when I started this work.
That's definitely heartbreaking. Right now, over the past summer in California, it said the statistics, they're pretty much still right there. That's
Yeah.
definitely unfortunate.
Yeah.
So speaking of your nonprofit, My Natural Me,
Yes.
what were the originations of the nonprofit? What's your current role? And what have you been doing to empower women for the actions, the opportunity, and the perception?
Yeah. So I'm so excited. So again, when I started doing the work of My Natural Me, it wasn't a nonprofit. I just,
Okay.
the short version of this story. So I've always been doing just work in the community for women. But after I let my first organization kind of go around domestic violence, I was more just focused on, speaking and things like that as far as helping women. And I had started a box making business. Yes,
Nice.
for those that know, keep the box.
There you go.
Yes, I had keep the box out there, and which was just fun. It was all about creating this curated boxes for people to feel good, and it started. I thought I finally have a hobby because everyone is like, you work too hard, get a hobby. So I thought I had created a
Okay,
hobby of
yeah,
making
yeah.
boxes, and then it turned into a business. But I was making, and then once I did that, and of course I started seeing how good it made people feel, I said, you know what, I'm going to make a box that's just for women because that's just, again, at my core, I'm always trying to uplift women and girls, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I created a My Natural Me box, which this box would have curated items in there to help women just appreciate who they are. Oh my goodness, that opened up everything because women, in them getting these boxes, they would talk to me about just things they were going through. And, I broke up in this relationship, or this is happening, and I don't love myself. And so I was like, okay, so what do I really do with this? And I was like, well, let me start doing some workshops around My Natural Me.
All right.
But I still hadn't made it an official nonprofit. And one day I actually met another amazing woman in the community, Jennifer Malone. Shout out to Jennifer. And I was telling her, and she was like, girl, if you don't make that a nonprofit so you can get in the community. And so, I'm a praying person. I prayed over it and I launched My Natural Me. But what I love to share is people, if you're familiar with the culture, right? The Black community, natural is usually equated to like unpermed hair. So it's like natural hair.
Okay.
So often people will say, My Natural Me, oh, because you're natural, your hair is natural. And I love that because it starts a conversation because actually My Natural Me is about how do we as women and girls learn to love ourselves naturally. Often we shape our opinions and our value system on what this person says, what they say at the job, what the partner says. But how do you strip all that away and learn to just love yourself without the titles and the labels and what someone else's perception is? So that's what My Natural Me is all about.
Because at the end of the day, the most important person is yourself.
That's it.
I love that.
That's it. Yeah. So My Natural Me, and so I'm the founder, operating as CEO. We have been about 2 years now, with My Natural
2
Me.
years now. All right.
And we have 4 major pillars that we pretty much everything falls under, which is our Hispanic empowerment programming, our dementia caregiver support programming, our business leadership, and then our women's wellness. And under those categories, we have a number of things that we address. So, for example, with women, it's about the mental health and wellness, even our bodies and our aging without judgment, which I'll talk about. But all of that kind of falls under that. But also, as I mentioned, I wanted to bring domestic violence back in. So I was like, which one will this fit under? So right now it lives as healthy relationships under our women's wellness pillar.
Okay.
Yeah.
For bringing that up, tying it in together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, nice. So in the last 2 years, from 2023 to around 25, what has been the big milestones? And then in the next coming year, 2026, for My Natural Me, what's like the big goal you want to assign yourself?
Ooh, we have had so many. And it's kind of hard to even know where to start, but I'll start with our Hispanic empowerment program, and that's the one that's in Georgetown South. So that's why that's.
I remember we spoke about that one a few times.
Yes,
ma'am.
that's what's so exciting. So our programming there, Georgetown South is primarily Hispanic. I believe it's 95% Hispanic. And when I met with the director about what I do, Meg, everyone loves Meg, I was like, what is the need? What can we do? And so, of course, I have all these workshops and programs that I do for women and girls, but I don't speak Spanish. But I have
not yet, right?
Right,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Outside of some maybe initial greetings, and the numbers from Sesame Street that I learned. But outside of that, I don't speak fluent Spanish. But I have all these relationships, very well connected, and so I reached out to a couple, and they jumped right in. So Frankie and Olga, yes, shout them out. They became the program directors for that, and what they have done in that community, really changing the dynamic of these young girls feeling like they have someone that looks like them, that they can talk about these subjects, and we are talking everything from bullying to self-esteem, insecurities. And the first couple of times they were really shy. But as they warmed up to Frankie and Olga, to see them like taking selfies together and having
nice.
a good time. So I think that has definitely been, for 2025, definitely one of our biggest accomplishments that My Natural Me has accomplished. The other thing I would say, our dementia caregiver support program. So I really believe it's going to one day actually be its own nonprofit because it's so big.
That's where you see the vision.
Yes,
Okay.
it is so big. And again, that started where I would do coaching with women. And a lot of the demographic of women that I deal with are kind of what, they call that sandwich generation. So these are women who are maybe mid-career or starting business, and they maybe have children that they're raising that might be in high school, college, but they're also now starting caregiving roles because their parents are getting, of age where they need more assistance. So as I was coaching these women, this kept coming up, and then they started talking about, my mom has Alzheimer's or my dad has this. And so I was aware of it, but just from like, how do I help the woman navigate this, right?
Okay.
And then in we all went through the pandemic. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
in 2020, this was before I started my nonprofit. This was just with me coaching women. In 2020, I started noticing things with my mom. And my aunt, yes, my aunt kept reaching out to me, and she was like, something's off with your mom. She's not remembering certain things. And my mom is like the epitome of the proud Black woman. So I would be like, but she always, I'm the oldest daughter.
Yeah.
And so I'm always the one who's like, you need to go to the doctor. So we're kind of like sisters until she wanted to, be the mom boss.
Yeah. But being the oldest is kind of like, you took the responsibility yourself.
Exactly. So this is why my aunt kept reaching out to me because she's like, you need to get your mom to a doctor. So I would ask my mom, and she was like, nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. And so I was like, well, let's just get to the doctor, So went to the doctor, and they have different tests that they do. And they said, well, we see from this test, we see mild cognitive impairment.
Okay.
And I was like, just like you, I was like, oh, okay. So not Alzheimer's. That's all I knew was the word Alzheimer's. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So this was right before the pandemic started. And so they were like, just sometimes when you get older and you're kind of stuck in the house all the time, you just need to get out. Like, you can start doing more. They have like local reading at the libraries and things like that. So we were like, okay, great. So we planned all these things and was going to get my mom involved in all these. Simple enough, right? Yeah. And then the pandemic happens.
Oh, my goodness.
So the pandemic happens, and that same aunt who had been telling me, help your mom and this and that, passes away during the pandemic. And this was during the time in the beginning where you remember where it was like, nobody could do anything. Like, we didn't have vaccines. We weren't sure what to do.
Yeah, everybody kept their distance.
Everybody kept their distance. Yep. So here my mom, and my stepdad, wonderful person, but just not a talkative person. And if you know me and how much I talk and take up space in a room, my mom is like 10 times that. So the fact that she's in this house with my stepdad and she's grieving her sister, and there was nothing we could do. There were times where I would go over to their house, stand on the porch between, keeping the door shut, and I would just cry with my mom. She's inside, I'm outside, because it was a pandemic. Yeah. So that was tough, but eventually, as things started opening back up, I was seeing a huge decline in her cognitive
You can
ability.
actually be side by side with her.
Yes. And I think for me, the turning point was during this time, it was a lot happening. I actually had a miscarriage, and it was just a lot that happened during the pandemic for many of us, right? But we were kind of towards the tail end of it. And I'll never forget, I was at the store with my mom, and we're laughing and talking, and my mom sees a little kid run by. And so she looks at me and she says, you know, my daughter had a miscarriage. I feel so bad for her. And I looked at her and I said, what? And she was like, yeah, my daughter Lita. I thought I told you. And I just remember I had to stop the car because I was like, what is happening right now? And this was my first real entrance into this world of dementia. And so, needless to say, now I became the very woman that I'd been helping. And I could realize, you know, right there, front close and personal, how difficult, because I'm like, I got to navigate a job. I got to navigate, you know, my life. I have to now figure out, what do I do?
As a caregiver,
and I had a business. So there was a lot. So fast forward, I went to work. If, you know, people that know me know, I'm never going to do anything halfway. So I'm like doing the research. I'm talking to the head of the Alzheimer's Association. Like I'm getting certified and everything, right? But what I learned from that, from my own experience, is that this is still a topic that a lot of people just didn't know what to do. They didn't know what are my steps I should do when this happens. So I went to the board of my nonprofit, and I, you know, of course they knew what I was going through. And I said, you know, can we just maybe do a workshop? Like, let's just do a workshop on this topic and see where it goes. And it blew up. So then I went back to the board and I said, what if we make a program? And they're like, well, does it fit our mission? Because, you know, as a nonprofit, like you have to stick within your mission and vision. And I was like, it does. Because, again, this is a problem that women are going through, right? I mean, and Alzheimer's dementia affects mostly women, but then most of the caregivers are women, and the sandwich generation are mostly women that are dealing with this kind of challenge. So I pitched it, and they agreed. And I mean, within a month after launching, we were featured on the news several times because they loved seeing women of color talking about this, because it affects women of color mostly.
Does it? Okay.
Yes, the statistics show. So that program, when you talk about just things that, you know, we're excited about, our dementia caregiver support program has blown up. From now, we have partnerships with local doctors. We have a whole resource hub. We do workshops, training, education, all the things. So it's been a lot exciting, but yeah, and those just two of our programs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so you listed the four.
I know. I could go on.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I could go on, but 2025 especially, we were able to just get a lot of partnerships. We got a partnership with Manassas Mall, the general manager there, for our business program, where we were able to do a series of workshops where we took you right from the basics of financial literacy all the way to investments. So it's been amazing. It really, 2025 especially, has just been an awesome year for growth.
I love to hear that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, Liletta, now I want to pivot. So the entrepreneurship, the visionary CEO of your nonprofit, My Natural Me. You also mentioned you're an author, and I see a book right now that you brought up.
Yes.
So can we go into that?
Absolutely.
Being an author.
Yes. My very first book was in 2019, actually, before, you know, everything happened. And, you know, I never necessarily thought of becoming an author. I've always done poetry, like just for myself, and journaled and things like that. But this particular day, so I was in a caregiving role. My husband and I, we were actually staying with my grandmother as caregivers for her. Super independent. Just, she had had a couple of falls and couldn't live by herself. But she was like 96 and still was like, I have videos of her twerking, if I could say that. that.
Oh, we can say anything here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so
at 96 years
at
old.
96 years old, getting it.
Getting it. That's right. Getting down.
So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was her. So, it was fun, but she had fallen one time and again at 96 was told that she had to do physical therapy.
Okay.
And I remember her talking to me and she was like, they're telling me I got to do physical therapy and everything, and they're telling me I might never walk. And I was like, well, what you going to do, Granny? And she was like, I'm going to do this physical therapy. And I watched her, painstakingly, like just going through physical therapy at 96, doing all the exercises in pain, but like pushing herself. Mm-hmm. And I just remember in that moment looking at her and I was like, this is a legacy.
That's right.
Yes, my grandmother did well for herself financially and all of that. But outside of that, I was like, this is the strength, the grit, the determination, like that is the legacy. And, my grandmother having gone through, Great Depression and all the different things of her time period. And it made me think about like my mom and my aunt. And it's like, these are women who things were stacked against them. Right. My mom was a single mother raising me and my sister. My aunt was a single mom raising her sons. And she had situations. She'd had her first kid at like 12 or 13. So I remember just in that moment watching my grandmother and I thought about all of that. And I was like, I need to write a book about this.
Oh, that's amazing.
I know. Yeah. And I wrote, so I had this idea and I just started writing. And so I went to them and I told them, I said, I want to write a book about your legacy. And I said, so I'm going to interview you and all of that. And it was the most beautiful thing. The book is called Celebrating a Legacy of Courage and Resolve. And when I tell you, to be able to, and all my life I've heard stories, right? They would talk to me, how they do in families. Exactly.
Stories. Yeah,
but to do this in an interview with them, and I did a photo shoot for them, it was so official.
Oh my goodness!
And I learned so much from that experience. And when thankfully, because as I mentioned, my aunt is now deceased. My grandmother passed away at 99 during COVID, which I believe, had she not gotten COVID, she probably would still be here today.
Yeah, walking around
twerking. And now my mom has Alzheimer's dementia. So, but they all got to see this published book about them and celebrate. My aunt was still at the time doing like volunteer work at a hospital. And she got to be a celebrity. She was like, they want the books, and she got to be at her job signing books. What a moment for them.
Yeah,
so that
was
the
legacy.
Part of the legacy, exactly. So that is what started the journey of being an author. And now I have 9 published works.
9 published works. There we go. That's amazing.
Yes, I got the bug, the author bug. But most of my books, all of my books, I should say, up until now, have been about self-help, empowerment, that type of thing. But I'm excited. I have shared this, that I have 2 new books coming. One should be out in December, and they're sci-fi books. And this is something completely completely out of anything I've done, but it has been so exciting writing. So this first book is for middle grade kids, and it's a sci-fi book, and it's about time travel.
Oh, that's right up my alley.
Oh my goodness.
Sci-fi time travel.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's been fun too, because, we always joke, my husband is definitely like the person behind the scene that really keeps me going and encouraging and all of that. And he's like completely content with like, you go be great and I'll be back here, pushing you.
Yeah.
But he is a big sci-fi, time travel, like all the things. So when I told him I was going to write this book, he was like, now there's rules to time travel. I was like, wait a minute, there's rules?
He was going into the parameters.
He was. And so it was fun kind of getting to kind of write it with him, right? Because he would like read a chapter and he would be like, no, babe, because this doesn't make sense. And, this over here. So how did they get there? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so much. I had no idea.
He
but
was thinking like your preferred clients, like they're going to nitpick this. You
It's
got to really.
that's
Oh,
exactly it.
nice. The
And when
support
I
was there. Yeah.
yes, and when I finally was finished and he read it and he was like, "This is good." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh, nice.
Yes, so that'll be coming out in December, and then I have another one that's a little bit more grown up that'll be coming out in 2026. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
Nice.
yes. And this, so to talk about this, so this is my Aging Without Judgment. And I am super excited about this because this book really it's about how do we embrace, obviously, who we are as we're kind of transitioning through different journeys of life. And it's specifically around your over 40 women
Okay.
who are going through different things that life brings. And it's really, there's the aging gracefully thing that's out there, which
Yes.
I don't want to say negative things about that concept because I understand what it means. And there's a
Yeah.
lot around aging gracefully. But what I've learned through my own journey and the women that I work with is that it's more so about how do I age authentically. When you
Oh,
put
all right.
gracefully, I'm very big on the power of words. And it gives just this feeling like it should be graceful, right? I mean, that's in the quote,
Yeah,
in the
it's
expression.
in the, yeah.
Right. But really aging, especially for women, like there's so many different transitions and things that we go through as we start going through that period of our life. And our relationships shift and our bodies and all the things. So instead of holding up this expectation of graceful, I wanted to say, let's do it without judgment, right?
Love that.
How do
Yeah.
we age and not have judgment because the world is going to be judgmental.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time in the media. Women my age who are celebrities and all of this, they get eaten alive.
Anything they do, like
Anything
really
they do.
anything,
Oh,
yeah.
look, her age is showing. Or look at that. And it's like, well, why wouldn't your age show?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like-
because what's the alternative?
Hey, we're human beings.
We're
yeah.
human,
There's no
right?
time travel.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But and men don't usually have that same pressure, right?
They don't.
Often,
That's
in
true.
fact, it's the opposite. It's like, oh, well, they look this way and that way. Like they're almost praised for
They are.
their
They are.
journey.
I feel like there's a saying I've heard that men age like wine, and women just aren't allowed to age.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
exactly
yeah.
it. Exactly. So this book takes you through how to really honor yourself through the journey. And as a result of this book, it's also being used in our programming. So in the nonprofit side,
Okay.
I've actually created a whole program that helps take women through different aspects of how, again, you embrace yourself. How do you love yourself? How do you even have conversations? Like if you're in a relationship, how do you handle all of those things of having what could be uncomfortable conversations?
Yeah.
And then in January, we have, I'm excited because under Big Sis and Company, which is really the for-profit side of the work I do. So that's corporate
Okay.
training, but it's also where I do a lot more extensive coaching. That's not, the workshops and all through the nonprofit. This is where I'm working directly with you as a woman and just helping whatever what your goals are, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I'm excited because I'm doing more collaborations. And so we have partnered with Workout Anytime in Manassas. And we are doing quarterly workshops. And our very first one is going to be using this book and going over how do we start the process. Because obviously, if you're working out, you're already thinking about your health and your wellness,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of surface. Let's dig deeper. So while we're in this space, and their facility is amazing. I didn't even realize just how nice it is in there. But just to sit in there and be already thinking about who you are, your health and wellness, and talk about these type of topics. So I am super excited
goodness,
about
that's
that.
amazing.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Well, Liletta, I want to ask you, where can people find you? Websites, phone numbers to get in contact with you for your
Absolutely.
for-profit section and for your nonprofit section.
Yes. So you can always start with bigsisandcompany.com. So that's going to take you to most of what I do. But if you want to go directly to the nonprofit, which will also take you to what you need, it's mynaturalme.org. So mynaturalme.org, and it'll take you to our programs. And yeah, you will be able to get connected with us.
No, perfect. Well, Liletta, now I want to switch into the street interview style questions. The first question I want to go ahead and ask you is, how do you usually deal with rude and or fake people? I'm going to give you three options, right?
Okay.
Option number one is, do you drop kick them in the face? Option number two, just brush it off with a smirk. Or option number three, kill them with kindness.
Definitely kill them with kindness.
I can absolutely see that. Yeah. Just sitting down with you, and we've known each other for a few number of months now.
Yeah.
Absolutely can see that.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah.
Now, in my head, I might do something different, but what I do outside is kill them with kindness.
All right. I love it. What do you believe for most entrepreneurs? Should they invest in a social media agency, or should they just do it solo and, go with what works?
Definitely you should invest in a social media agency. Now, granted, I know often when you're starting off, you're doing a lot of things yourself and you're learning. But even for myself, I'm even doing the shift to actual professionals. I feel like as an entrepreneur, you can only get so far doing it yourself. And I always think of it the same way with your medical health, your mental health. At a certain point, you will always have to get someone who is trained and who is educated in doing it better than you can. So
That's right.
I think that, you can go but so far, but definitely you're going to want to invest in that at some point in your journey.
I love that. All right. So then the last question I have for you is, for you yourself, Liletta, when you're scrolling on social media, regardless of the platform, what usually captures your attention? Is it a specific type of content or creator itself?
Okay, so there's two. So obviously, I love anytime I hear powerful women speakers, I'm always drawn to that. So I follow a lot of just strong women, from your Tabitha Browns to just even in the community. But I also am kind of like a guilty pleasure of like the whole TikTok dance videos.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, like
Oh.
yeah. So that also like Reels, TikTok. I don't even know what's the right thing to call them. But I will get definitely stuck in scrolling these different dance challenges, and we've even done a couple at my day job.
Oh, have you? Oh my goodness!
Well, I wasn't the
nice.
one dancing. I was more so like another part of it.
The
But
coordinator.
yes.
Yeah.
But even with my mom, again, as I mentioned, has Alzheimer's dementia. So I have a TikTok page that's for my dementia caregiver journey.
Yeah.
And we've done some of those dance challenges.
That's amazing.
Yes. So
Okay.
that is definitely. I think people would be kind of shocked to know how much I do, keep up with the youngins on that.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, Liletta, it was an absolute pleasure having you, and thank you for joining us today on CEO Talks. Thank you so much, and wonderful success for you in 2026.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.